Hey guys, here we are with Anthony Joshua versus Wladimir Klitschko. What a great fight this was last Saturday night. I want to thank Sky Sports for the footage. All credit to them for the film. This film study is for entertainment and education purposes only. This is not an attempt to illegally distribute or undermine their copyright claims to this video. And I just want to thank them for allowing me to use it. Anyway, let's get into the fight. It was a great fight. I actually picked Wladimir Klitschko to knock Anthony Joshua out. I thought he'd get it done in the 7th round. But with my knowledge of Wladimir Klitschko, I could also see him getting kind of out-athleted by Joshua because Joshua is a little bit, I don't want to, he's much more athletic than your average heavyweight. He's like very, like, I want to say like Mike Tyson-esque in how short he can throw punches, and it's just not super common in the heavyweight division for someone to be able to throw like fast combinations and as short as Joshua seems to be able to do. But I did think that Wladimir Klitschko was legitimately just gonna school him and knock him out. So anyway, let's get into the fight. It's a great fight, very, very technical. And here we have Wladimir Klitschko coming out using hand control, trying to set up his offense, trying to look for openings and probing. And Anthony Joshua, like, he's doing a good job fighting his hand too, but I don't think he knows exactly what he might be trying to set up off of this. And as you can see, he throws the first punch, and Wladimir Klitschko is completely ready for it and actually throws his own little left hook. You can't really tell if Wladimir Klitschko's lands, but you can definitely see that for the level of control that Anthony Joshua is used to, Wladimir Klitschko is very ready to vie for control over like lead hand dominance with him, and because he catches his jab and he just knows that that's probably all that's coming from him. But I want to show a couple little really quick sneaky things that Wladimir Klitschko does to set up his punch, and this is just amazing to me. To do this in front of like such a huge fighter, right? Like such a big guy, right? So here he is. He grabs Joshua's hand. Oh, please work. Yeah, okay. So he goes on the inside, and he pulls his hand down, and that could allow him to throw a right hand over the top. But as he does it, Joshua throws his jab, and he throws like a left hook kind of thing. But you see him pulling his hand down. Just a masterclass jab from Wladimir Klitschko. I think he probably has one of the best jabs in all of boxing. And there you go. You have Anthony Joshua vying for lead hand dominance as he's moving. And he touches gloves with Wladimir and then stops real quick and then throws a left hook. Really smart. That's kind of exactly what you want to do. You know, lull your opponent, you touch gloves with them, and then before the next time you go to touch off that rhythm, you throw a left hook. But Wladimir Klitschko, again, is very ready for this. He's done this so many times. And this is the first time I've ever seen Anthony Joshua use any type of like lead hand dominance or try to fight like hand control, because none of his opponents have ever done that before. But also, I want to point out that it's Wladimir Klitschko is the one that's leading, right? He's the one putting his hand out there first, and Anthony Joshua is kind of reacting to it. And I think that that's part of Anthony Joshua's game plan, is to fight off of Wladimir Klitschko's jab. And right here, the first thing you see, this is really interesting. He kind of ducks down right there, takes a seat, and throws a right hand. And he does land this left hook, but he kind of telegraphs it first, and that's why he's not able to land the right hand very cleanly, or at all rather. is because he telegraphs it, and when he throws it, Wladimir Klitschko puts his hands out and tries to control him. And now one thing I want to talk about is when he puts his hand out to like kind of and Anthony Joshua kind of slips the jab, he doesn't control his head at all, but he does put his right hand out to control the left hand. But because he has his right hand still out there, he really puts himself into a bad position, and he gets caught with this hook. Because now he doesn't have like really any balance. As you see, he kind of like jerks his head back. I think that's like one of the cardinal sins of boxing, is having both of your hands away from your body. You just can't really get away, and that's one of the things that Wladimir Klitschko really needs to work on as far as his controlling his opponent, his game plan. And that's the reason why I thought that Anthony Joshua would be able to out-athlete him, is because usually you have someone in the heavyweight division throwing, 1 or 2 punches, right? Sometimes 3. And that kind of move right there is usually enough to get you away from 2 punches. But anyway, moving on. Some good stuff from Joshua. He slips the jab, throws his own body punch, kind of, and then Wladimir Klitschko comes in to clinch, gets his arm over Joshua's arm in case it was going to be an overhand right, but Joshua kind of goes to the body right there, and then as Klitschko's coming in, Joshua lands this left hook, and I'm very inclined to believe that it lands, because this is one of the only times in this round that Klitschko clinches, and I think it's because he took a left hook. And that's really impressive by Joshua to be able to kind of land that really short punch. And I do think it lands, even though it's not super clear. But anyway, this is really interesting too. If you look at Wladimir Klitschko's hand position, right, he looks like he's always ready and cocked to throw that right hand. So Joshua kind of needs to always be mindful of that. Even though his game plan is to counter the jab, he can't be super reckless, because a right hand from Wladimir Klitschko can knock out anybody. But it also allows him, if Joshua wanted to counter his jab with a jab, to catch his jab. So it's just really interesting technique from Wladimir Klitschko. You don't see a lot of people with such an aggressive right hand. Right, for like aggressively defensive, I guess. I don't know how to say it, but to catch the jab and to prevent your opponent from leading kind of with his left hand. But back to what Joshua's doing, very tentative stuff from Joshua here. And if you look at how tentative he is to Vladimir's left hand, this whole scene right here, this is exactly why you feint and you probe with your left hand and your lead hand. This is exactly why you use this technique to set your punches up, is because sometimes if your opponent is ready, they're ready with counters for this hand, right? Like right there. If Wladimir would have thrown the jab right there rather than feinting or baiting or probing with his jab, he could have walked into this straight right hand left hook combo, and that could have been the end of the fight. So being able to like probe and then like not only set his offense up, but get an eye on what his opponent is doing, so he can set up offense off of what his opponent is doing later, that's the difference between a like C-level fighter who jumps in and throws and commits to their jab right hand, and they use what they learned from the committed jab right hand to set up their future offense, and like an A-level fighter who's constantly feinting and probing to get a look at you before they feint and probe, get you to react to it in the same way that you've shown that you reacted before, and throw punches off of your reaction. Just really high-level stuff here from Wladimir Klitschko. Really smart. And again, Anthony Joshua giving away his cards, showing that he's really trying to fight off of Wladimir Klitschko's jab, making Klitschko's jab even more effective. because it's controlling his entire game plan. But anyway, Klitschko does something really smart right there. Touches gloves with Joshua, and then pulls back and then throws a jab at him and catches him with the jab. And then Joshua's like, okay, I see. Takes a step back so he doesn't get caught in the corner. But also what Klitschko does is, as he throws it, so he touches, boom, jabs him. He slides his right foot over and gets off of the line, right, squaring Joshua up. And now Joshua has to circle back out to get back on the line because Klitschko's the one with all the power here. And as he does, as he moves off back onto the line, Klitschko catches him with the jab. Really smart stuff from Klitschko, and he plays with the on the line, off the line stuff a lot. Very, very smart and technical fighter. Again, trying to time his jab, and Joshua not really being able to set anything up. Again, having a hard time timing his jab because of all the feints. And he kind of gets lulled into eating a little left hook right there. I think it touches his face. It doesn't really matter. But Klitschko is showing that being able to turn that jab into a hook to set up offense or to bait offense from his opponent, that he just has like a really educated left hand, lead left hand, doing a lot of good things. Right there again, trying to time his jab. And Joshua does something really interesting. Right before he throws his right hand, he kind of dips down. I'm not sure if I talked about it earlier, but he dips down, giving away, even though he feints before, giving away that he's throwing a right hand. And what does Klitschko do? Like a smart and responsible fighter, he just moves back. You know, the less opportunities you give your opponents to see the holes in your defense when they set their offense up, the less, the better chance you're going to have in the fight, right? So rather than reacting to his offense that close, he just takes a step back and doesn't even get to let him see how he's going to react. Even though, you know, he kind of does know that he's already just going to stick his arms out, which is, you know, not the greatest thing for Klitschko. Again, trying to time his jab. Again, right there. Thinks a jab is coming and throws an overhand right and commits to that shot. Anthony Joshua is showing that he really can't predict what Klitschko is going to do with his jab. Eats a jab there as Klitschko lulls him to sleep. Just really perplexing Joshua during the course of this. And then Joshua finally gets a little bit of timing on him. Throws a jab, he slips it, and what does he do? Throws a left hook that Klitschko has shown time and time again that he's just going to put his right arm out there to try to catch it. And then he puts his left arm up to kind of block the right hand. And it's so hard to tell if that lands, that right hand. I'm inclined to believe that it doesn't, that it kind of like swings off of his back. Let's get it in slow-mo. Here we go. Yeah, it doesn't really look like it lands. Klitschko kind of gets his arm up there and brings his shoulder up and brings his head down. He puts himself like really out of position. Klitschko does. But because he's not expecting a heavyweight to be throwing huge combinations, it works for him. Anyway, moving on. Right there, a beautiful jab that Joshua is just having a terrible time figuring out when it's going to come. And even though he was trying to throw a right hand over it, he kind of just gets completely stopped in his tracks by that right hand, or by that jab. This super educated left hand from Klitschko. Anyway, Klitschko doing something really smart, throws the jab, you know, expecting when Joshua is standing straight up like this, you see how he's kind of square, his body's turned to the right and his right hand is forward, expecting the left hook to come, and kind of comes in low. Really smart, making an adjustment for the counters that Joshua's trying to lead with. Again, right there, throws the jab, moves off of the line. What does Joshua have to do? He has to get back on the line. Really clever stuff. And as he's moving on the line, sneaky little Klitschko starts coming forward a little bit. But he's not comfortable setting up offense. He doesn't exactly know what he's going to do right there. But, yeah, he's just really perplexing Joshua at the moment. And right there, he thinks a jab is coming, and he goes to get under it. But he does something much different this time, and he throws a jab, or he throws a right hand to the body. Even though he's kind of getting controlled and the jab didn't come, that winds up working out really well for Joshua. Kind of hinting that, maybe he should have went to the body a little more with his counters, because Klitschko is pretty decent so far at protecting his head. Again, right there, trying to counter his jab. He feints him, and Joshua throws another jab. Right here, Joshua does something else really smart. When he does commit to the jab, right here. Whoops. Yeah, he commits to the jab. He slips it to the outside, gets his arm on it, and he goes to throw, like he just learned, he goes to throw a left hook to the body, but somehow, I have no idea how Klitschko did that, but he's able to get his left hand across his body to block the body shot. Really smart. He kind of elbows Joshua in the face right there when he tries to get his arm up into the way of Joshua's right hand. But good on Joshua for recognizing that the body shot was open, even though, and doing something different, fighting off of the jab in a different way. Really good stuff from Joshua, showing that he's thinking, but that Klitschko is very used to people trying to fight off of his jab, since it's his most important weapon, and everyone kind of seen it. But anyway, moving on, some posturing, and again, Joshua having a really hard time figuring out when Klitschko's going to jab. He gets kind of baited in and eats a jab right there. And there's the second clinch. I think it's the second clinch. I haven't counted any other ones. Right there again. Now Joshua trying something else new, rather than fighting for lead hand dominance with his jab hand. He starts to try to do it with his right hand, showing that he's thinking in there, trying new things. Tries to fight off of the jab again. This video is super not the greatest. Throws a jab, parries his jab, even though it's just a feint, and goes to throw the hook. But because it's just a feint and he gets Joshua to commit to the left hook, he's able to parry that shot again, or parry that shot as well. Wladimir Klitschko, for the most part, showing that he has a great defense, and he's completely puzzled Joshua. Joshua has just no idea when he's going to commit to a punch. Doing a lot of great things. And then when Joshua moves off the line again, catches him with the jab. Really smart stuff from Klitschko, timing him and trying to use his rhythm against him. When I watched this fight live, I thought that Klitschko dominated the first round. Joshua does land, I think, 2 left hooks and a right hand to the body. But I think that the jabbing from Klitschko was, I think it was very close. I think the round was very close. I think the jabs were comparable to the punches that Joshua landed. But I think that Klitschko was the only one that really got a lot of information out of the round. He was also the ring general. He dominated the control of the ring. And as long as that's a scoring criteria, you got to take it into account. And I gave the first round to Klitschko. I think a lot of people actually gave it to Joshua based on the couple power shots that he landed. They weren't super big punches. he did land them, but I thought that Wladimir Klitschko had control of the round. Even though we did get to see some like major holes in Wladimir Klitschko's game with the way that he defends multiple punches by getting both of his hands on his opponent. And we'll see how that goes in the next rounds. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, share my videos if you want. Any support that you guys can give is greatly appreciated. And let me know what you think in the comments. How you saw the fight, how you had the scorecards at the end. Anyway, thanks, guys.